Hello guys, today we're going to talk about The Changeling, another movie I got for Christmas. The last episode we talked about another movie I got for Christmas. This is a great movie. Um, this movie was released in 1980. It's rated R, so don't show the kids this, really don't. It's an hour 47 long and was released on DVD in 2000. It's has a 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb with about 25,000-ish user vote people and 70% on Metacritic with about 9 critics. Stars George C. Scott, who was in Patton, and in one of the versions of the Christmas Carol, which I did previously on this on the show. And it stars Trish Van Devere, who was in The Hearse, which wasn't received well. I tried looking through them. I didn't see any movies that really stuck out with her, so I think this was kind of her big movie. And it was directed by Peter Medak, who did a 1990 version of the biography movie of the Cray brothers. There was a Tom Hardy movie released a few years ago, but this one, unlike that one, was very well received. So I may check out some point. The movie has 80% on Rotten Tomatoes, about 20 critics, and 79% by audiences, about 900-ish audience people. Doesn't have a critics consensus because only doesn't have enough critics. The movie's actually available to stream on the Shudder, and is available to rent and buy on Amazon. Now, alright, this movie is amazing. It's a haunted house movie, but it's such a well-made haunted house movie because it's so well. First of all, it's simple. It's a simple mystery. I've read that this movie kind of feels like I read some things about people saying it inspired the Conjuring and Insidious movies of today, but personally for me, I've never seen Conjuring or Insidious, but from what I saw in the trailers and everything, and what I read about them in the symphos of the movies, they don't really pull me in. At some point, I may watch The Conjuring, because those movies now they're having a Conjuring cinematic universe, and there's different things in that regard that may pull me toward it to explore. And good horror movies are in short supply. Even though those kind of horror movies don't pull me in, I would for that. You see, it's tricky for me because haunted house movies, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with haunted house movies. On one hand, I love them because I love the atmosphere. I love seeing the house, how old, the dust, the ancient artifacts, the portraits of people long gone, the eerie wind, the voices, the creepy cinematography, sometimes catching a little glimpse of a ghost movement or something. I love that. But on the other hand, when done, it's a tightrope. It's a balancing act because on one hand, if the characters can suffer, horror movie characters, because a lot of times the characters are there just for the observant, and sometimes it feels too much like a character study and not a horror movie, and you gotta be careful with that with haunted house movies. And also current haunted house movies, they often fall into the cliche trap of relying on jump scares to convert frights. This movie doesn't. It really doesn't. I can't remember a jump scare in it, really. The scares in this movie is based on slow build-up and atmosphere that really becomes like an experience that overwhelms you in the right way a horror movie should. There's a great mystery to it, too. Surprisingly, not a super complex mystery, but a bit more, because usually with scary horror movies, the heart of horror movies is usually when things are kept in the unknown. What happens sometimes with horror movies, this is the great thing about The Changeling, is that they over-explain themselves, where it ruins the mystery. If you ruin the mystery, you ruin the horror, because there's nothing scary about known stuff, really, per se. I mean, sure, there's things like getting sick, like a cold, that's scary, I don't want to get sick, but we know about it. We know how to deal with it. But it's a whole nother level of fright when we're dealing with something we not only don't understand, but we don't know how to fight. I mean, anytime during a horror movie, once the characters realize they can fight the thing, even though they're still afraid, a lot of the fear comes to pass because they know how to deal with it. The Changeling is a different kind of horror movie. It's more of a horror movie. It really helps in the unknown, but once the unknown becomes known, it becomes a different kind of horror movie. A horror movie of personality, of like someone's own being, dealing with the past, dealing with what's coming, what the inevitable doom, as it will, in this movie. It's kind of for a specific character, not a main character, but that's kind of the vibe in it. But there is a mystery to it that I do love. All right, let's talk about the simple stuff. Acting's amazing. George C. Scott is an amazing actor. I love his work. He's great in this. The supporting actors and actresses do a great job too. There's no one who feels like they're overdoing it, like schlocking it or anything like that. The atmosphere is fantastic. The movie has great atmosphere. Cinematography's fantastic. A lot of cool angles, a lot of cool the lighting's great. It's perfect. The score is eerie as fuck. It's one of the best horror scores I've ever listened to. And horror scores often get trapped in the cliched orchestra, violin-driven bullshit that leads to cliched jump scares. This movie doesn't do that. This movie has an awesome eerie score. Direction's great. It's directed really well. I love the story too. The story is the heart of the movie, really. The mystery of it, the story and atmosphere. This movie's so well put together. There's not really any cracks or flaws. Although I will admit, I was a tad worried about halfway, 60% into the movie, where they might over-explain the mystery, because they start to figure out what's going on in the movie, the main characters, and I was kind of worried that they might over-explain it and might ruin the horror of it. But it really didn't, because the movie does such a great job of maintaining that sense of fear and dread, even if not for the main characters, per se, but more for the other character that's important to the story, that it really maintains that tone despite... That's the thing about it. It maintains that high level of fright, even though the mystery gets kind of solved a little bit to a degree. It's kind of like that. Because the first movie's just very simple. It's just a guy living in a haunted house trying to figure out what the fuck's going on. And then he starts figuring shit out, and things get a little bit more complex. And it leads him down a path that's a pretty scary path, actually. And he's able to sympathize with the haunting in question and helping that thing come out. And I get why people say that Conjuring Insidious is a little bit like this. And if that's the case, I may give Conjuring a look. I don't know about Insidious, because they're a bit more inconsistent, those movies. But Conjuring, I may. But don't hold your breath. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say about it. Changeling, it's a great movie. DVD commonality, you might be able to find it in FYE. I haven't really seen it in Walmart or anything like that. You may have to dig a little bit. I'm sure you can find it online to buy, but you might have to dig a little bit for this. But trust me, it's worth it. But yeah, Changeling, great movie. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the videos, and have a good day.